Hey everybody, this is David Branderhorst, and in this video we're going to be talking about why you can't cost cut your way to success. Now before we get started, if you could remember to hit that like and subscribe button to be notified of future content, we would greatly appreciate it. Now unless you've been living under a rock or are just extremely wealthy, you probably noticed the differences in prices of major products and services these days. And you've probably seen just how much that has impacted your daily budget. In fact, this has hit us on many different levels. And here's just a few examples. A couple of years ago, you could fill up your car with gas for under $2 a gallon. And now, depending on what part of the country you live in, it's 4 or 5. I've even seen some places as high as $7 a gallon. And previously, a couple of years or so ago, you could probably get a reasonable loaf of bread for around $1 or maybe a little bit more, depending on the kind of bread that you got. Sometimes it would be on sale for less. But now, $4 or $5 for a loaf of bread is not abnormal at all. Previously, ground beef was something that was a pretty big staple in the things that, people use to make food and to do different things. And now if you look at some of these price changes, you can see the cost of ground beef, whereas a couple years ago, you could get it in the, $3-ish, and now it's $5. It's gone up dramatically. And so these are things that, are causing all of us to change. All of us are now in situations and positions where we're forced to make some changes into what we're doing and to how we're doing things. And it's led a lot of people to really try and cut back. And led a lot of us to try and cut our expenses, to eliminate things we don't need, to cut back on the things that we're buying, and to try and scale back on things to try and reduce our expenses, because everything is now more costly. And while that is a good thing, it is a good thing to try and reduce our costs, the reality is that you're never going to win this game doing that. Because no matter what you do, the costs are going to always outrun your ability to cost cut. You cannot cost cut enough when prices are running this hard and this fast. You cannot cost cut fast enough to stay with it. You will always be reducing, and after a while, you just hit a point where you can't reduce anymore. You need food, you need gas in your car, you need certain things just to be able to survive and to live your life. And at some point, you just can't win the game doing that. So what are we supposed to do in this type of environment? How are we supposed to handle this? How are we supposed to react? The reality is that we need to, while cost cutting is a positive thing to do, it's not what we really need to be spending the majority of our time on. It's not where we need to be spending the majority of our energy. What we need to be doing is focusing on the other side. Now, if you've been in that, and one of the first things that you need to do is you need to be focusing on having your money in assets, like physical assets. And by doing so, you can really participate in some of these moves and help you stay ahead on some of these things. Now, for example, maybe you own a home. And if you own a home, you know what I'm talking about if you've been paying attention to the real estate market lately. And again, let's look at some of these price values here just recently. Here's one house, as you can see, not that long ago, it was a couple $100,000, and now it's approaching $1 million. This was like 2020, where it was in the 200,000-300,000, and now we're probably 900,000, closing in on $1 million. The next house is one that was probably 250,000, and now it's over 500. The next one that we have here, it was one that in 2020 was probably a little over 600, and now it's well over 800. Another one here was 2020, probably 800,000. Now it's close to $1.5 million. By participating on the other side, you can see now, yes, it's good to cut a few bucks here and there on your expenses, but you can see if you're participating in the other side of the equation, you're getting an increase in your assets. You're actually moving up at a pace that's going to help you keep up with these rising costs. And eventually, you're going to have an asset that's you can sell somewhere down the road and do something. And that's really great. And that's really helpful. And that's a great way for you to offset some of these things and fight off some of the effects of inflation. But another thing is that doesn't help. That's great for long term, but that doesn't help you on a monthly cash flow basis. You may be saying, well, that's great. How do I pay my bills? At some point, the bills keep going up and up and up. How do I pay those? How do I keep up with all that? Well, the thing is that you need to be thinking about generating more cash flow for yourself. And one of the best ways to do it, because you're not going to be able to do it at a job. You're not going to be able to work at a job and expect your wages to keep pace with inflation. A lot of us have seen, the real numbers for inflation are probably close to 15% in a lot of ways for the last period of time prior to this video. And you're not going to get a 15% raise every year to keep up with inflation. It's just not how raises work. And so you're always going to be lagging behind. But there are ways and things that you can do to make extra money to keep yourself up with the cost of living so that you don't keep falling farther and farther behind. And I want to talk about that a little bit here next, in this next part. So let's say you're in a situation where your bills have increased by $500 a month between gas, utilities, services that you utilize. I mean, it really can happen rather quickly. I mean, that's the honest truth of it. Cumulatively, when you go out to eat, when you go and do different things, everybody is charging more for everything. It's $40 more here, $20 more there. It's very easy to have your bills go up by $500 a month. Now, let's say that you can try and cut your expenses, and you can try and do that, but that is really going to be difficult long term. It's going to be difficult to do that, to make yourself consistently living on $500 a month less. You can do it short term, but long term it's not going to work. So what if you could find something to do to raise your income? And I'm going to argue that this is far easier to do than cutting your costs every month. Because there's a point where you just can't go anymore. You have to stop. But you could do something extra over and above and beyond a job or whatever it is you're doing during the day to make some extra income, and you could start to offset these things. Now, for example, I know a lot of my audience are authors, coaches, or course creators. You could sell you could create a course that talks about something that you have expertise in, something that you're highly skilled in, and you could sell a couple copies of a course for $297. That's a very reasonable price for a course. You could do that, and if you could just keep marketing it and promoting it and doing different things, you could make some, $600 selling 2 copies of every course fairly quickly and fairly easily. You could take your expertise and you could offer to coach someone weekly for $150 an hour. And again, for a coach who's in a niche that is, if it's at all in demand, $150 an hour is not all that much. It's not a high rate to be charging for coaching. So if you found one person to do that and you did that 4 weeks a month, that would be $600 extra for you. Or you could even create a community. You could have a community that helps people in the niche that you work in the area where you have expertise. Charge them $100 a month and have 5 people join, where you help each other and you do different things, and you provide a lot of service and extra value to them, and charge them $100 a month to be a part of that. Now, the reason I want to bring these things up is because this is how we need to be looking at our current times. This is how we need to be looking at our current situation. We can't be thinking, woe is me, the costs are running out of control, everything is always getting more and more expensive, and I can only cut costs so much before I just, I'm going into debt. I'm doing all these horrible things because I can't keep up. No, we need to step up to the plate, and we need to take charge of our situation and take ownership of this. And we need to step up and think, what extra value can I create in the world? What extra things can I do for people above and beyond what I'm doing now? And how can I do these things in such a way that people are going to be attracted to it and want to join and want to be part of this? Because when you do that, you'll quickly discover that the ceiling on your income is not as hard as you think. you can break through that ceiling and you can dramatically impact and increase your income and make a huge difference on your ability to keep pace with these times. So I hope that inspires you. I hope that gets you motivated to take a chance, to go out and do something that's going to move you down that direction, to find ways to increase your value, increase what you're contributing to the world, so that people will gladly give you money for those extra things that you are doing for them. And if you have questions, I know there's a lot of things involved in putting all this together. That's what we specialize in. That's what we specialize in helping people do. So I invite you to go to designlaunchgrow.com and just check out what we do. Take a look, check and see what we do to how we help authors, coaches, and course creators create businesses around their message, to have an impact in the world, but also to help them earn income from what it is that they do, to be able to generate cash flow so they can be paid for what they know and how they help people. So that's it for today. I hope this is helpful to you, and I hope you found a lot of value in it. As always, if you have questions, leave them below. Otherwise, I will look forward to seeing you in the next video, and I hope you have a great day.